Welcome to the second episode of the Curators podcast. Today our discussion will primarily spurn from an email we received from a viewer last week by the name of John. I will read the email now just so you get a sense of what we're going to be discussing today. John says, "Dear Curators, I don't know what the hell you guys were thinking when you said 1 in every 5 trillion rap songs were good. Thomas, do you condone this behavior? Jacob, do you really think the Stones are better than the Beatles?" Basically, today we're going to be responding to some of John's prompts. We're going to be talking about some music, having a little fun, having a little...
Now, his last name is available, but we're not going to expose him because he would get a lot of hate given our how many viewers we have. I mean, it's probably got to be millions. I don't know. But carrying onward, so we're going to be discussing music today and our interest.
Yes.
So, as we discussed last time, my interests kind of range from about, like, the 50s to the early 80s. I like, a lot of the music in that time frame. Rolling Stones is obviously my favorite. But the reason why I love that music is because not only was I raised with it, so it's like I kind of have that tie to my father as he would play that music for me as a kid, but also like the rhythms that they make with like real instruments, not like some garage band crap. It's genuine shit, and the lyrics have good meaning and like they're pretty artful most of the time. And I find that to be the main attractive force for me.
Yeah, similarly to Jake, me and my father had that connection with, like, I grew up on the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, that kind of music, but as I've grown, my taste has become more eclectic.
Wow, that's a good word.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
But, yeah, I mean, I fucks with the rap music. I like,
You fuck with it?
I fuck with it. Like some R&B, a lot of the new stuff coming out I enjoy. I'm into some 90s stuff, mainly like 90s rock, like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Nirvana, that kind of stuff. But
yeah, they're Red Hot Chili Peppers is a pretty good neo rock band, I guess.
New wave, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think our first topic should be, since viewer John was so upset by Jacob's comment that only 1 in every 5 trillion rap songs is good, we should begin by discussing rap music. Wouldn't you agree, Jacob?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got some lyrics from my I think it's a pretty good rap song. I mean, there's not many good rap songs, but I mean, just listen to some of these lyrics. It's A Lot by 21 Savage. Okay. And what a great name, by the way, 21 Savage. I mean, good lord. Now, how many expletives you shot? Quote, a lot. How many expletives done died? A lot. How many times did you cheat? A lot. How many times did you lie? A lot. How many times did she leave? A lot. How many times did she cry? A lot. How many chances she done gave you? Fuck around with these thoughts a lot. I mean, it's just describing all these, like, I get that he's, like, trying to voice his, like, problems, and it's so redundant. Like, I mean, he literally says a lot. How many fucking times in the song? I mean, it's got to be in the hundreds. And although he's trying to, like, convey that he's had all these issues, it's like, be a little more creative than that. I mean, good lord.
I mean, 21, other than, like, kind of his recent stuff, he's kind of been, like, hot trash on the streets. But one artist in the rap field I really admire, and I know a lot of people really admire, especially viewer John, who I have discussed about this artist a lot, is Kanye West. Kanye writes some great bars, some great lyrics, a lot of funny stuff, a lot of witty stuff. Produces all his own music. You know, if you listen to his early albums, he's got the real instruments. He makes really good use of samples. You know, I think he's a super talented artist. He's come out with a lot of really amazing albums that I think have kind of progressed the genre of rap music a lot. And a lot of its popularity today is kind of due to his influence, you know?
Yeah, but again, of course he's a rapper, and with that comes lower intelligence. I mean, just if you listen to Kanye talk for more than 5 minutes, I mean, good lord, didn't he say that they should repeal the 13th Amendment? For our less informed viewers, the 13th Amendment is the amendment that bans the owning of slaves, and he supports Trump. Yikes. I mean, supporting Trump at the beginning of presidency, okay, but I mean, if you still support him, I don't know. I mean, not to get too political, but yeah, that's for a different day, perhaps.
Yeah, for maybe in the coming months when the election starts heating up, we'll discuss Trump. But Kanye, political opinions aside, public antics aside, the music is straight fire.
Yeah, that was a bit of an ad hominem attack on me. But
he just says some of the best bars. Like right here in this song, he writes. This is from the song "All Falls Down" from his first album. He says here, the concept of school seems so secure. Sophomore 3 years, she ain't picked a career. She like, fuck it, I'll just stay on her and do hers and hair in that case. Because that's enough money to buy her a new pair of new heirs, because her baby daddy don't really care. She's so precious with the peer pressure. She couldn't afford a car, so she named her daughter Alexis. Kind of snaps there. I think with rap music in particular, rock music, we got more like the traditional poetry in terms of lyrics, like kind of long verses with kind of short-ish lines, and we're saying them slowly or singing them slowly. But rap, it's a lot more words and like a lot less time, and you have to have a certain cadence in your voice, a certain delivery, and a certain you have to have a certain intellect for rappers who are genuinely able to craft really good lyrics and really good lines to phrase your sounds and syllables and your words to make the music interesting, because
yeah, I know, but I think I don't know, I guess it's a new concept for me. Traditionally I feel like they should be singing. Instead they're just kind of spitting. I guess there is some art to that. But I think because of that, you lose the tone of their voice in a way. When someone sings, it's more drawn out, and you can hear that emotion in them. And, when someone's just kind of spitting words rapidly, I mean, you don't know what they're... You don't get many emotions out of that. But I will say there is some rap I like, as I said. So here's another song, Fuck the Police by the NWA. Great rap song.
Classic.
That's a rap song that has a lot of meaning, because that spoke to the police brutality of the 90s.
Yeah.
And this was kind of those early days in a way. And, it says, fuck the police, coming straight from the underground. A young expletive, got it bad because I'm brown. And the other colors, so police think they have the authority to kill a minority. Really clever wording, and it does go along really well, and it kind of bumps, But
I think, NWA, obviously a trailblazing kind of group in the rap industry that their first album, straight out of Compton. Amazing record. But I think, I mean, a lot of those early guys, I think Jacob here can appreciate. I think Tupac as an artist, he, although he did make a lot of songs about getting the hose and the money, as it were. He
By the way, Tom just air quoted when he said hose and money. That was great.
But I think Tupac has an album called "Me Against the World," which is my favorite of his work, and it's a really deep kind of meditation about like his life and his value in life, because I was at a time where he was like people were after him. He was like getting shot in the streets and stuff, and he was like reflecting back on his whole life, and he was able to, not only was it like good lyrics and like really personal stuff, but he was able to like make it catchy, make it like fun to listen to. Like that album has the song "Dear Mama" on it, I believe, one of Tupac's best. So I think that's something that Jake can appreciate.
Yeah, another rap song I like. I guess it's more of a bad angel of my nature, if you will, but it's I forget the exact name of it. It's by Snoop Dogg, and the like main verse is laid back with my mind on my money on my mind, and it's like sipping. Oh wait, no, I completely screwed that up. It's like sipping on gin and juice, laid back with my mind on my money and my money on my mind.
Gin and Juice by Snoop.
Yeah.
Classic.
Good song, but like, I mean, I don't know, what's the message of that? I mean, good lord.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I feel like it's kind of like with rap, that's like a fun rap song that's like goofy and stuff. But I think there are like plenty of songs like in rock music that are exactly the same. Like Def Leppard, like Pour Some Sugar on Me, like that song's like,
yeah,
I don't know, that's just like having fun. I think a lot of like rap is like that. However, I will say, in this new generation of rappers, there are like these rappers who are like trying to make like the fun music, but their production is trash. They have, as Jacob touched on earlier, just no cadence in their voice, so monotone, just awful. Like the performance itself is awful. The lyrics are like awful. There's no. The best thing I could say about like the lyrics of some of these guys, like Lil Baby, for example, Gunna.
I mean, I think his name just kind of speaks for himself, for a Lil Baby. God.
The best thing I could say about the lyrics is that they rhyme. Like, I know that's a incredible feat to accomplish in this day and age, it seems.
You know, I think rhyming's overrated. Like, I don't...
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you really need it to have some good-ass, like, poetry, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
A scholar of the free verse.
Because I think you need to use the word, like... I would focus on using good words, not just ones that happen to fit your rhyme scheme.
Yeah.
But...
So, I mean, if you can structure a song in a way that is emotionally provocative via the instruments and, like, the words you're saying, I think that's a great accomplishment. It doesn't have to always rhyme, you know?
Yeah. Maybe, part of the reason maybe they rhyme them is because it's easier to, like, remember, and people will start, like, humming it, you know?
Yeah.
But... Because if you think about the way songs work is they're trying to, like, market it. It's a product. Like, have you ever wondered why song names are always just, like, the main verse and not, like, something better? Because in English class, shout out to our teacher once again.
Since he did not hear the shout out in the last episode, we will drop one again.
Mr. O. Adam Cruz.
Yep.
Yes. But a title is kind of like a piece of your essay that you can use to, like, evoke some meaning and significance. Yeah. And songs don't really use that because, you know, they're trying to, like, when people go to look up a song, they're going to, what was that main verse again? They type that in and it ends up being the title. You know, that's good for the selling music.
Yeah. I think in rap there's an example of a song title that's really provocative before the song even starts is Eminem's 97 Bonnie and Clyde, which is a song. Obviously, the song is like kind of joking because the whole song is Eminem rapping about this scene where he has killed his wife and is like about to dump her body in the lake, and his daughter's in the backseat crying and stuff. But like the song kind of the chorus of the song is 97 like Bonnie and Clyde, like me and my daughter. I think that's a really kind of provocative title because like Bonnie and Clyde obviously are these like criminals from back in the day, bank robbers, did all this stuff, and like I guess Eminem is like he's relating himself to that in the sense that him and his daughter are now the criminals, and he's doing that to better himself, you know. But I think that's just a really provocative title for a song about kind of his new experience in the new age.
Yeah, relating to like song titles, a song I like by old Johnny Denver is
Yes.
Annie's song. Not once in the song, I don't think, does he mention Annie. More it's just kind of like his love poem to her, really. It's really nice.
Yeah. Johnny Denver obviously is an artist that I grew up on, and you know, he makes some really great stuff. You know, obviously Country Road's big fucking meme. You know, people have made kind of a mockery of it, but that
They
song
have to play it at every dance.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I think that song is really poetic, describing like this scene of him just returning home, probably after long years away, probably just chasing the money as a musician, you know, and he just admiring all this beauty at the world around him. It's really kind of a beautiful, touching song.
Nature is so well articulated by him and like some other kind of folk country singers.
Yes.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Classic.
But going all the way back to our viewer John in the email, he asked me which is better, the Rolling Stones or the Beatles. And while I won't say Rolling Stones, which they're obviously better, I'm not going to say which is better.
He won't admit it. Well, I will say that the Beatles are better than the Stones.
I just don't get that. I think that all the Beatles songs, I mean, they're good, but like they sound too similar, and I don't know.
I think part of obviously when we're talking about this, the focus should be on the music, but I think the cultural influence that the Beatles had cannot be overlooked, in a sense.
Yeah, I remember back when I was in the 60s growing up. No, I'm kidding. But, yeah, they probably... I mean, I'm kind of talking out of my ass here.
Yeah.
But just kind of based off what, like, my grandparents have told me, is, like, the Beatles were kind of, like, the big name. They were bigger than the Rolling Stones. But, you know, I value matter over form, if you will. So, I go with the Rolling Stones all the way, because especially, I didn't grow up during then, so all I have now is the music.
Yeah.
So I don't have those kind of factors playing in.
Sure. I think, I don't know, like, I think the Beatles have, there's substance there, there's matter in their music.
Oh, yeah, Whoops, we were rudely interrupted by, quote, Peter Kurt.
Peter C, as Mr.
Bod calls him.
likes
Yeah. Well, he gave us a ring of the telly, and it interrupted our recording device, so we apologize to all of our diligent viewers, if you've made it this far, that is.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the Stones and the Beatles. Yeah, obviously the Stones slap, and so do the Beatles. Like the Beatles, "Hey Jude" is probably my favorite. You know,
Yeah.
Nice little love song in there.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. My favorite Beatles song. It's more of a matter of what's my favorite Beatles album, because there are so many good Beatles songs.
Oh yeah.
To choose from.
Your album.
I don't know. My favorite Beatles album would probably be either Abbey Road or good old Sergeant Pepper's and the Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Sgt. Pepper's was a raunchy album they did there.
Raunchy, little meme. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Some would assume that Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, LSD. What are we implying there, boys?
Yeah, looks like they took a little turn there. And
took a little turn, got a little raunchy.
I mean, that's how it was back then, you know? You just get toked and do some fondling with your instruments in the garage, and something came out.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was a good old times back in the days.
Oh, yeah. They have a really nice song that always makes me happy. It's Oogla-dee, Oogla-da. I think that's how you say it. That's a great one.
That is a uplifting, joyous...
Do you know the story behind that one?
I do not. I can't say I do.
Well, Paul and the boys were down in Jamaica, and a Jamaican man would always say that phrase, "Oogla-dee, oogla-da, life goes on, man." That's how Paul said it, and they just made that into a song, and it just slaps.
Slaps, absolute gas.
Yeah.
Well, Jacob, what's your favorite thing from the Stones? We've talked about the Beatles and their fine achievements.
For the Stones, it kind of depends on what kind of schmood I'm in, but generally my go-to is Jumpin' Jack Flash with them. That's my favorite.
Very nice.
Yeah, they use your favorite word, Tom, gas.
Oh.
It's a gas. Do-do-do. But the song that probably has the most meaning is Gimme Shelter, where they talk about, I mean, it's kind of like an allusion to the Vietnam War, like, rape, murder, it's just a shadow away. It's just a shadow away, you know, kind of like just protesting the war in general. And, you know.
I would have to say Gimme Shelter is most likely my favorite Stones song.
It has a really good guitar intro.
Yeah, not only are the lyrics very meaningful and just striking in their delivery, it's just the instruments, the performance on it. It's so well performed, and it's also quite catchy, I must say. It has a little jig to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sympathy for the Devil is a good one. That's kind of like part of that whole countercultural movement. Because when that song came out, there was a lot of strife. Because, I mean, you know, the classic... You're coming off that era of the 50s where the vision of the ideal American was like, you know, family-based, or Protestant, you know, like Christianity was a big part of their life. And then Sympathy for the Devil. Whoa there. Yeah, and it's a nice kind of almost satirical spin on the devil and gets you to look at sort of things differently. It's not so much actually having sympathy for the devil, no. But they're kind of packed lyrics about just kind of making you question just things in society in general. Yeah,
I think that point of like this countercultural movement made me just think right now of like the movie The Shape of Water, which I don't know if you saw, Jake.
I saw the trailers. I should have seen it.
So it's set in the 50s, and there's this scene of like Michael Shannon, the actor who's playing this he's the villain of the story, the government character, kind of out to get this woman and this monster that she's in love with. Like, there's this scene of, like, he's all set up in this idyllic 1950s home.
I like that word.
Wife, 2 kids. And, like, there's this scene where he is just, like, he gets a brand new car, and he's just, like, he's, like, a despicable man. Like, they're all eating, like, there's this scene that really kind of shows it where he has sex with his wife, like, on like, their bed, but... He's holding her down, and she's, like, still, like, she's fully clothed. And I think that was a really striking scene, because it emphasizes, like, this idea that amidst all this kind of glitz and wishing that, and this, like, improving the image that we're perfect and everything's all right, you know, in the 50s, maybe it wasn't so alright, and that's what created this movement that came out with both the Beatles and the Stones.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kids who are born and raised in the 50s who are starting this countercultural movement. I mean, kind of, what does that say about that style of parenting and whatnot? You know, not to get, like, too off topic, but
yeah.
I would say the craziest kids I know now in high school probably have, like, the strictest parents. I mean, it's kind of interesting how that works in a way.
Of course.
I think, like, if you have restricted parents, a lot of times the kids are going to want to, like, seek out their own little excursions and freedom in a way. And
yeah, it's a classic kind of thing of, like, psychology. Of
Catch-22 of parenting.
Oh, Catch-22.
Great book.
Great novel.
Now we're getting a little
now we're getting way off topic into
Yeah.
a little chasm of discussion. Jacob, do you want to continue discussing the music or the Catch-22?
I think we can digress to Catch-22 if you'd like.
Oh, yes. I would genuinely love to discuss Catch-22.
Sure. Well, if you're one of our listeners who hasn't read Catch-22, pause the cast, read the book real quick. Should take you no more than 15 minutes, and then come back here and resume.
Yeah.
Well, so I think it's such a good book, delivers on so many different levels, because especially as someone like me who kind of has, I tend to have, like, a cynical view of the world in a way. Like, I don't know, I think that's kind of why Catcher in the Rye is one of my favorite books, because it's a whole declaration against, like, everything that's wrong in the world, and, like, how everything's just kind of a load of crap, which to me makes a lot of sense. But I mean, you could spend a lot of time talking about the things that suck about the world.
Yeah, exactly. I think Catch-22, it's probably my favorite book I think I've ever read. I think it's just a fantastic novel, and I've been thinking. I had a debate about the ending of the novel, because obviously you could take it in whichever direction you want. But I was reading the book as an idealist, you know, that I won't spoil the ending. Well, we already made the spoilers proclamation, so I'll spoil the ending.
Yeah, you get the pleasure of spoiling, don't you?
Well, and the end of Catch-22, as those who have read it know, our good old boy Yossarian runs away from Pianosa to go to Rome to save Nately's whore's kid sister and meet up with Orr in Sweden. But obviously you can take running away as cowardly, not staying to oppose the structures of power that have created the ironic traps throughout the entire novel. Or, as I've thought more about it, that's the best he can do in the modern day against such forces, because they have become so ingrained in how society functions that we cannot truly destroy them or oppose them. Even see it today.
Yeah, I think it's a practical ending to such a practical book.
Yeah.
You know, it's in a traditional comedy, like, everything gets all willy-nilly and everyone wins in the end, and, you know, everything is great. But in Catch-22, that's not how it happens. It's real. It's like, you know, there's always going to be these ironic figures of the world, like Cathcart and Korn, and there's no changing that. But
men who are so desperate to seek power that, you know, nothing will stand in their way, has it?
But that's the way our world is. No matter what you do, there will always be the bad apples of the world, and you can't completely change everything. But what you can do is create comedy in your own comedy, as in big C comedy, by the way.
Yes.
Like a good good virtuous ending. That's what I mean by it. Like, just look it up. I don't know. But you can create comedy on the small scale in your own life.
Yeah, and I think so. I was speaking about this with Mr. Adam Cruz, and he gave me we were discussing the monomyth and how the monomyth has shifted, and then in the modern day, the hero is more towards one's own self, and not, it's no longer for the greater good of like the community. It's for one's own preservation and creating a comedy within one's own life, which I think makes Catch-22, the ending, pretty perfect,
Yeah, most definitely. It's not an end to the world of Catch-22's irony, but it is the start of Yossarian's journey to salvation in a way. It's not so much that he's going to succeed, or we don't give a shit what the hell is going to happen as he tries to meet up with Orr. It's the fact that he's doing something.
Yes.
It gives him hope. It's kind of like my dad. He needs me to get a job over the summer, and it's not so much about me making money. It's just the fact that I'm doing something instead of just binding my time, shooting the shit all day. There's some comedic value there.
Yeah. Value added. And I think the most damning point about Catch-22 is, we think these structures that are put in place are, we think they become normalized, right? And I think the thing Catch-22 does so brilliantly is obviously to make them absurd. Like, for the first 15 chapters of Catch-22, I'm laughing my ass off at how, like, funny this shit is. Because, like, it's absurd. It's like, it's comedy with, like, the lowercase c, but it's really, like, irony, But that's why it's funny, right? And I think that is my most enjoyable part about Catch-22, is that it goes from this shift of the beginning is super funny and absurd, and like you have all these like elements of satire infused in it, and then we have this incredible shift, I think, to just pure seeing the effects of those structures and those people who entrap others, and then we see how we as individuals can overcome that in our own lives.
Mm-hmm. It gives inspiration to the small guy. How often in our world do we feel like everyone's against us and we're just by ourselves and powerless? And that's kind of who Yossarian is in this novel. And then, but he finds his path to comedy and good things, and that's what the book's telling us to do, is go out there and have your own goal, have your own little niche, the path to comedy, like Yossarian found. It's not easy. Yossarian had to go through a lot of moral struggles throughout the book, but...
And he attempted to find places of escape from that feeling of like everybody's out to get me or I'm trapped, in the hospital in Rome with certain women, but it would always end up collapsing, except for when there was this true source of hope when he felt like this was it for him. It's all, I think it's a real, like the message of, as Jake said, we all feel like we're sometimes attacked by like other forces, like the powerful forces, or everybody's out to get us. But it's all about seeing where like we fit and like identifying a place where someone else is succeeding, that we can succeed as well.
Mm-hmm. And when he retreats to the hospital, that's him just stalling the issue at hand. He needs something more permanent, something that he can aspire to, and something that feels good, that gives him hope. And that happens to be going to find and meet up with Orr.
Yeah, exactly. It's the classic problem that so many of us face. We just, as Jake said, we shoot the shit in our lives. We just fuck around and wait around for somebody to grab our ass and pull us up. But in reality, all we need to do is, as the book states at the very end, just jump into it, and hit them with a fuck it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, send it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shall we transition back now to music?
Yes, we had a little interjection with our little musings, but
yes, that the world of Catch-22 has been an inkling of my mind as of late.
Yes, a lot of writing we've done on the subject. Just a lot of meditating, thinking. So yeah, we just wanted to speak on that.
Yeah, but back to the Beatles and whatnot. I classify Beatles and like the Beach Boys and the Monkees, kind of in that like to mid '60s genre. I think the Rolling Stones are different because they're more out there. They're more like rock music, like let's head thrash.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
The Beatles songs, you can very formal, very nice. The Rolling Stones, it's kind of like an ecstasy of sounds just coming at you, and you just are caught up in it's what it means to rock and roll.
Yeah,
I feel like they first started that.
Yeah, I think the Beatles. I don't really think. I mean, they don't really have any true blue rock and roll songs. I mean, obviously they have songs with heavy instrumentation and, impassioned performances and such, but, like, they're primarily kind of like a pop band. They're making kind of pop music. That was what their early career was. They were the boy band that was sweeping the world, and then there was this transition where they still kind of infused those pop elements, but it was like, I don't really know how to define the genre itself. I guess you could say it was like an early form of like alternative, but it was still in like that pop.
I think it kind of paved the
genre.
way for a lot of the soft rock you saw in the 70s.
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of like America, the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Stones are, I think, the pioneers. Along with like you had the UK bands, early punk bands, the Sex Pistols, stuff like that.
The Kinks.
The Kinks, yeah, exactly. Them and the Stones kind of paved this way for this huge kind of this thrash. You said head thrashing rock and roll music.
Yeah, it's some good shit, and then I think that the 70s is. A lot of songs, I think, either amend that or they kind of go the path of the Beatles. I think you kind of have like two things set up there. Like obviously, I meant to say Creedence Clearwater Revival. I always just think of their good song, "Fortunate Son." Like they're kind of the path of the Beatles. I think Queen is kind of all over the place.
Yeah. I think Queen. There's a genre that I've been like hearing about called rock opera, which is like super exuberant, like bombastic rock music with like thundering drums and like very like impassionedly performed choruses. I think Queen falls into that a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're super big. In terms of like performance and presentation, but then they have their softer moments and they have their kind of experimental tracks as well.
Yeah, I think my favorite song by them is "Under Pressure" because it has David Bowie in it, and I don't think he's great. But I mean, obviously, Bo Rap is their most famous song.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in that, what do you call it, rock opera?
Yeah. I'd say definitely Bohemian Rhapsody is rock opera. It's this massive song kind of spanning however many minutes, more over 5 minutes long. With instrumental changes, and the chorus is massive, and I think it's definitely, you could consider it rock opera.
Yeah, I think that song really pushes what a rock song can be. It's really dope, and to see a song go so far and really push the standards of, is rock just kind of these things that you bump to and that's that, or does it have something more to it? Is there a story? Is there like in Bo Rap, it's I don't even know how to unpack the lyrics. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it takes you on a total journey into. I'm not actually sure who wrote the song itself, the lyrics, but it's a journey into kind of that person's psyche, and it's dark. Like people obviously sing the lyrics at the top of their lungs and kind of this state of joy, but it's truly a dark song when you really get into it.
Yeah, all I can think of is that first part where it's like, "Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled the trigger, now he's dead." It's not exactly comic.
Yeah, no. Freddie Mercury did write Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's what I thought.
Should have assumed.
Because I saw the movie, and they showed this scene where he's with his, I guess, girlfriend or wife at the time, and they're in bed, and then he plays the piano with his fingers from there, and he goes do 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 do. He's like, "Do you like that, love? It's a new rhythm I've come up with." She's like, "It's lovely, Friday." So that was kind of a cool scene, I guess.
Yeah. Something I like to do is, I mean, I listen to rock music that's coming out now. I like to do that a lot. I think there's a really good movement coming out of Australia at the moment. These guys, I guess they're not really rockers per se, but they're like using that music of the 80s and the 70s and the 80s, and they're making, like, a lot of it's like poppy, but then there's like that kind of classic rock and like coming back with these kind of glitzy classic stuff. Like there's this guy, two guys really that I listen to mainly, Kieran J. Callanan and Alex Cameron. They are, Kieran just came out with a new album called Bravado, which is very throwback, as did Alex Cameron with his new album, Forced Witness, shout out. But if you, like, I'm just, for the viewers, if you want to jump into that kind of music and, like, hear some rock that's coming out nowadays, it's a little pop, a little rock, influenced by the classic stuff, throw that a listen. And I think there's a band called Algiers, who are from the United States, despite their name. They're a punk band. They're really grimy, really heavy instrumentation. They infuse like gospel into their music. They are a fantastic band. Their most recent album, The Underside of Power, came out in 2017. Obviously, we're a little on the nose with the title there, kind of calling out the current political state of the country, but in terms of like the new rock, those are kind of the guys or the groups that I'm really honed in on and think that people should check out.
I don't know. I try to listen to it, but I think you just can't recreate a movement, like an era of art. Like, you can try, and with mild success, but I think there were so many things at play during 60s, 70s, and early 80s that added to like what was being produced, that I was just this artistic genius.
Yeah.
And I think trying to recreate that is incredibly difficult. Valiant and good effort, but I just don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not like the new bands are totally like ripping it off. They're putting their own spin on it. Like Alex Cameron, for example, he is like the instrumentation itself is totally like glitzy 1980s like lovey-dovey kind of music, I guess. I guess that's how I describe it best. Like 70s, 80s, that kind of stuff. But his lyrics are just some of the wittiest, like funniest stuff that I've heard recently in music. Like in rap music, obviously sometimes I hear a lot of really good lines, really good bars, but like Alex, he's a really smart guy, and his lyrics really express that. And he has, his most recent album is a really interesting, funny portrait of love that I think is a really interesting listen.
Oh, I thought you were gonna like put it on the speaker.
No, I will if you'd like.
No, it's all right. Yeah, it's. Wait, what'd you say to me? Listen.
I don't know.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I was
a little
dazed.
Space.
Yeah, I was on my phone. Must confess, triple jug me.
Yikes! Little lull in the podcast right there.
Yeah, I think that's great that they're kind of creating rock music and whatnot. I guess it's a little aristocratic of me to think that there won't ever be good rock music again. I guess in that way I'm kind of like a bitch, but I don't know. I think it just won't be the same, and I guess that's for me to get over and them to continue on.
Yeah. So I feel like there are a lot of rock fans nowadays who are caught in this kind of similar pitfall. They think, oh, nothing better can ever be made, or like the only rock music being made now that's good is like, like just like the same shit that was made like 70 years ago. Like for example, Greta Van Fleet, this new band, they sound literally exactly like Led Zeppelin, and they fucking blow. Like they're awful. Like they're not doing anything new. They're not experimenting in any way. And I think, like, that's where a lot of, like, kind of the hate for other genres comes from. Because now rap music's the most popular genre. And I think part of that is because rap music is the genre that's doing the most new stuff. Like, it's the genre that's changing the most. I think it's, as of right now, it's the genre with, like, the widest breadth of content that it's expressing. So I think the plight of the rock fan in the modern day is to kind of almost get over themselves and start searching, because there is a wide breadth of like new rock music, but the rock fan needs to go out and find that and start promoting that if they truly want the genre to kind of rebound.
Yeah, one of the key components about listening to oldies is that you got to remember you're pulling from about 30 years worth of music that's been tested,
Yeah.
Whereas with new music, it hasn't like gone through the refined process of being relevant after so many years, and just fresh. And so obviously there's going to be a good amount of hot dog shit songs. So there are some unfair advantages that they face.
Yeah, exactly. And we have like the old era. We got the good 40 years of like rock music dominating, and now if we're saying rap music I guess took off in like the 90s, we're almost 30 years into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say we're and I think with there's like this growing disdain for like the generic. There's become like rap music has become generic just as rock became generic in the late 80s, and I think there's probably, if I want to put on my little thinking cap here, there's probably going to be a genre shift.
Just for the cast viewers or listeners, Tom did indeed just put on a cap.
Yes, I am wearing a cap, and I will say I would predict that in the coming years there will, like recent years, like
within the next 10 years, there will be another genre shift into what's popular, I think. No cap. I think rap music is kind of...
What does no cap even mean?
I don't even fucking know. I think it means just like...
That's...
Like, cap off, bro. I'm just telling the truth. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah. I mean, I like it, but...
Yeah. The phrase is nice to say, but what does it mean? Who fucking
Funny
knows?
how often we say stuff that we don't know what it means.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But anyways, there's just... I came across an artist, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Jim Croce?
Oh, yeah.
Croak?
I think it's Croak.
I recently got into him, and every song he has is like him, just him on the guitar, just spitting some bars, you know? Like, I Have a Name, it's him about coming into who he is as a person and recognizing his own self-value, or Time in a Bottle, where he recollects, he kind of, I think it's kind of a tricky song to take apart, but it's him about reflecting on, like, missed opportunities and, like, how we spend life not always doing what we want, but if we could, who we'd spend it with, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some good-ass stuff.
I think someone I've been really getting into lately, in terms of like the old school, is Simon and Garfunkel. Like, obviously they're kind of revered for like their classic in that sense, but like, I don't know, just like actually listening to their music pretty in depth recently, like, just been they write really great songs, and they're great, like, obviously both of them are great singers, but like the Bookends, their album, like right before Bridge Over Troubled Water, that album was like fucking amazing. Like, it's so, like, the poetry on that album is just fantastic, and I love listening to it. And it's so like soft and allows you to like really think about what it's saying, unlike some music which is just super abrasive in its presentation. And even if like the lyrics itself are meaningful, sometimes it doesn't allow you to think about it when you're listening.
Mm-hmm. An artist who I don't think people like listen to enough is Bob Dylan. Came about kind of like, you know, late 50s, early 60s-ish. It's kind of his prime. You know, like, times they are changing. Great song. And it has political impact, too. You know, in like the civil rights movement of the 60s. And then The Answer is Alone in the Wind. Another kind of politicized song. And he's evoking these... like, he's a country folk singer. And he's using, like, nature and these powerful images to evoke feelings out of people and articulate what needs to happen in our country, or what kind of the mood is. Which I find really cool.
I think Dylan is an artist that he was appreciated a lot by rock fans, but I think nowadays people really forget about like Dylan. Like my parents growing up, I never listened to, they never played Bob Dylan at all.
And like we were like a Beatles in like the 80s, like mainly my parents were like, oh, we're gonna listen to the Beatles, and like the songs I listened to when I was like from age 10 to age 18, so like 70s, early 80s, that kind of stuff. So I think Dylan almost kind of been forgotten, even though he was among like the general population, that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't really know much about him until I started listening to him more, and I realized that he has some good stuff. And I've never heard him on the radio either, so he kind of gets snubbed in that regard. A good song he wrote, but was performed by Jimi Hendrix, is All Along the Watchtower. That is a excellent song. Jimi Hendrix, another like countercultural guy, kind of in that Rolling Stones genre of music. You know, obviously a heavy user of LSD and was at Woodstock. Great guy. Also African American, which is significant in terms of there's not many African Americans in rock. I mean, obviously you had Chuck Berry, who kind of started started the whole movement.
Paved the way for a lot of people.
Yeah. Kind of that diner type music.
Yes.
You know, obviously Johnny B. Good, Roll Over Beethoven, so one he does, You Never Can Tell.
Yes.
Those are all great songs, but I mean, kind of like refined, look, you know, sound formalish, very nice. And but anyways, back to Jimi Hendrix. Kind of like Foxy Lady was just these nice, kind of like crazy songs, but they're good. They kind of just the whole, and in many ways they kind of embody, I guess, LSD in a song form. I mean, obviously I don't know what the fuck LSD would do to you, but I mean I can just imagine, you know, it's probably just a psychedelic rush and a lot of crazy things going on about you. And and that's kind of what the song does in a way. So I find that pretty cool.
Yeah. I think I kind of want to shift to like the guys who I think in the new age who are doing really like super interesting, great stuff. Obviously, I think Kendrick Lamar is a name that everybody kind of chirps on as like artist who is able not only to be popular but really say something meaningful. Like his album Good Kid, Mad City, I'm sure a lot of people know what it is, but that album is a super tight album. Like there's not a bad song. They're all super catchy. Obviously Kendrick as a great rapper, a great lyricist at the top of his game throughout the whole thing, but all the tracks are bookended with these little skits that all form this greater narrative and flow into the next song and the next topic of what the album is about. And it's truly a fantastic album, if I must say. It definitely would earn a 10 out of 10 rating from me. But I just think Kendrick Lamar is a guy who pretty recent into the popular music sphere, but is just doing amazing work.
Yeah, and I don't have many songs that I like from Sarah, but Bruno Mars is pretty good. He kind of has an older style. I think I heard him in an interview. He kind of reflects back on classic R&B artists, you know, Marvin Gaye or I don't know too much R&B, but and he kind of has respect for his classics, and it's good to see that these modern guys are able to draw on some of those older themes and ways of doing things.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a pretty good spot to end episode 2 today.
Yeah, it was a pleasure doing our second episode.
Yes, a pleasure. We had a hiccup in the middle there, but we thank you for joining us once again, and we hope you tune in next time.